In this video, we will talk about 10 critical mistakes related to potatoes that can lead to serious health consequences, especially for older adults, children, and individuals with chronic health conditions. Pay close attention. Mistake number 7 can gradually damage your metabolism, even if you believe you are eating the right way. Make sure to watch until the end to protect yourself in time. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. Critical mistake number 1, eating potatoes and meat together, a double strain on the pancreas. Many Americans love familiar comfort foods, the kind that remind them of home, warmth, and family. According to data from the National Institute on Aging for the year 2024, more than 60% of households regularly serve a hearty, simple combination for dinner several times a week. Potatoes and meat. This could be a stew, roasted ribs with potato wedges, mashed potatoes with chicken thighs, or braised beef with stewed potatoes. It is tasty, filling, and familiar. But hidden in this very combination lies a serious risk that most people tend to ignore for years. The pancreas is an organ that rarely signals problems early on. It endures quietly until it reaches a point where every meal feels like a struggle. And it often starts with meals that combine two types of food requiring opposite digestive conditions. A 2022 study conducted by the University of Southern California clearly demonstrated this. Potatoes, which are rich in starch, are digested in an alkaline environment, while meat, which contains a high amount of animal protein, requires an acidic environment to be properly broken down. As a result, the stomach and pancreas are forced into an internal conflict. Certain digestive enzymes interfere with others, leading the food to ferment, which can cause heaviness, bloating, and sometimes even discomfort. At first, this might seem minor, just a bit of overeating or mild indigestion, but when this happens repeatedly over the years, the outcome can become very serious. That was the case for Thomas Harrison, a 59-year-old man from Sacramento, California. Like many others, he considered the potato and meat combination to be completely normal. In the morning, he had sandwiches with deli meat. At lunch, potato salad with chicken, and for dinner, steak with mashed potatoes. It was his usual routine, until he began experiencing pain under his ribs, bloating, and frequent waves of nausea. At Sutter Health Clinic, after undergoing magnetic resonance imaging and a biochemical blood test, doctors diagnosed him with the early stage of chronic pancreatitis. Gastroenterologist Dr. Ashley Rosen explained that his pancreas was under significant strain, and unless he made immediate changes to his eating habits, restoring his health would be very difficult. To avoid overloading your pancreas and to support smooth digestion, it is best not to eat potatoes and meat at the same time. There should be at least a 3-hour gap between consuming these two types of food. Potatoes are better paired with steamed or roasted vegetables such as zucchini, broccoli, carrots, or cauliflower. Meat is best combined with a light green salad or plain boiled vegetables without oil or sauces. Following this simple guideline can reduce the inflammatory burden on your digestive system and help keep your pancreas healthy for many years to come. Critical mistake number 2, reheating potatoes, a hidden threat to the stomach. According to data from the National Institute on Aging for the year 2024, 1 out of every 3 Americans over the age of 50 admits to reheating leftover food at least 3 times a week. Most often, those leftovers include potatoes, such as mashed potatoes, casseroles, or stews. It may seem practical, reducing food waste and saving time, but this habit can quietly turn into a serious issue, especially if reheated potatoes appear in your meals on a regular basis. What may look like an ordinary bowl of mashed potatoes can actually contain something that your stomach struggles to handle. When potatoes are left to cool, especially for several hours, their internal structure begins to change. The easily digestible starch they contain transforms into a form known as resistant starch. This type of starch is more difficult to break down, can irritate the lining of the stomach, and often causes increased gas and discomfort. When reheated, particularly in a microwave or on a frying pan, these foods can also develop compounds that negatively affect the stomach and intestinal tract. A study published in the year 2022 by the University of Michigan School of Public Health found that people over the age of 60 who regularly consume reheated potatoes are 38% more likely to experience flare-ups of gastritis and irritable bowel syndrome. The risk is especially high for individuals who have a history of ulcers or other digestive issues. This was the case for a patient at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Sharon Peterson, a 66-year-old retiree and widow, had developed a routine of cooking in advance. For lunch and dinner, she would finish leftovers from the previous, typically mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, or potato casseroles. After a few months, she began experiencing sharp stomach pains, nausea, and a persistent feeling of heaviness after eating. Tests revealed a flare-up of chronic gastritis. A dietitian and a gastroenterologist advised her to completely stop reheating starchy foods and to reevaluate her overall eating habits. If you prepare potatoes, it is best to eat them right away. Do not leave them sitting out for long periods and avoid reheating them, especially in a microwave oven. If the potatoes have cooled, they may be eaten cold, but only within the first 12 hours and only if they have been stored in a refrigerator at a temperature not higher than 4 degrees Celsius, which is 39 degrees Fahrenheit. This advice is especially important for people with gastritis, peptic ulcers, colitis, or those of older age. Remember, it is better to cook a smaller amount and eat it fresh than to rely on leftovers and face health consequences later. Critical mistake number 3, mashed potatoes with butter and milk, a subtle strike against blood vessels. At first glance, this may seem like one of the most harmless dishes in the world. Mashed potatoes made with butter and milk appear on the plates of Americans millions of times a day. According to the National Institute on Aging, in the year 2024, more than 70% of people over the age of 50 eat mashed potatoes at least 3 times per week. This dish is commonly served in nursing homes, school cafeterias, and hospitals. It seems light, soft, and gentle. But beneath that comforting appearance lies a hidden danger, especially for the blood vessels. Potatoes on their own have a high glycemic index. This means they quickly raise blood glucose levels. When you add rich butter and cow's milk to them, the body receives a large amount of starch and saturated fats at the same time. This combination causes a rapid spike in blood sugar, followed by a surge of insulin to process the glucose, which in turn promotes fat storage. With regular consumption of this type of mashed potato, fatty substances begin to build up in the blood vessels, forming cholesterol plaques. This creates a direct path toward impaired circulation. These concerns are backed by a large-scale study conducted by the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, published in the year 2023. The study followed more than 4,000 participants between the ages of 45 and 70. Those who frequently ate mashed potatoes made with butter and milk had blood triglyceride levels that were 28% higher than normal. The results were especially concerning among individuals with a sedentary lifestyle and excess body weight. Jason Wells, a 58-year-old man from Des Moines, Iowa, experienced these effects firsthand. He considered mashed potatoes his favorite side dish, a taste of childhood, as he described it. Nearly every dinner he ate included mashed potatoes with butter and milk. After a few years, he began having episodes of high blood pressure, fatigue, and headaches. During an examination at Iowa Methodist Medical Center, ultrasound imaging revealed early signs of atherosclerosis, and blood tests showed elevated triglycerides and low-density lipoproteins. A dietitian advised him to stop eating his usual dish immediately and to replace it with healthier vegetable-based sides. To avoid putting stress on your blood vessels, do not prepare mashed potatoes with butter and cow's milk. Instead, try using warm water, unsweetened plant-based milk, or vegetable broth. For flavor, you can add a small amount of extra virgin olive oil. Be sure to include fiber, such as finely chopped greens, steamed vegetables, or even cooked lentils. This will slow down the absorption of carbohydrates and help stabilize blood glucose levels. These changes are especially important for people with high blood pressure, excess weight, elevated cholesterol, or those who lead a physically inactive lifestyle. Critical mistake number 4, fried potatoes in reused oil, a hidden path toward vascular breakdown. There is something undeniably appealing about fried potatoes. The smell, the crunch, the golden crust. For millions of Americans, it is more than just a side dish. It evokes nostalgia and whets the appetite. According to the American Association for Nutrition and Consumer Behavior, in the year 2024, more than 68% of adults over the age of 50 Eat fried potatoes at least once a week, whether at home or in restaurants. Over 30% of them use the same oil more than once when frying. That is exactly where the problem begins, one that most people are unaware of. Oil is not like wine. It does not get better with time. In fact, with each reheating, it gets worse. When vegetable oil, especially sunflower or corn oil, is reused, it loses its chemical stability under high temperatures. As a result, trans fats begin to accumulate. These are compounds that alter the structure of fats in the human bloodstream. Trans fats are not just harmful, they become part of cell membranes, increase blood thickness, trigger inflammation, and interfere with the function of blood vessels. Over time, this leads to elevated blood pressure and eventually serious complications in the vascular system. This was confirmed by a large-scale study conducted by Tufts University's Friedman School of Nutrition, Science, and Policy in Boston in the year 2022. The study involved more than 5,000 men and women between the ages of 40 and 70. Researchers found that individuals who frequently ate potatoes fried in oil that had been used more than once had blood levels of trans fats 2.5 times higher than those who ate potatoes prepared in fresh oil. Additionally, the risk of elevated blood pressure and vascular narrowing increased by nearly 42% in that group. One such case involved John Miller, a 62-year-old retired auto mechanic from Spokane, Washington. After retiring, he began cooking at home. His favorite dish became potato wedges fried in sunflower oil. He reused the same batch of oil 4 or 5 times, simply straining it each time. After about a year, he began experiencing severe headaches, dizziness, and unstable blood pressure. When examined at Multicare Deaconess Hospital, doctors diagnosed him with persistent hypertension and an early stage of ischemic heart disease. Blood tests revealed a high level of trans fats. The first recommendation from his dietitian was to stop reusing cooking oil entirely. If you prepare potatoes using oil, never reuse the same oil. Always use fresh oil with a high smoke point. Refined olive oil or avocado oil are better options, but ideally, it is best to avoid frying altogether. Instead, bake the potatoes in an oven at a temperature of about 180 degrees Celsius, which is 356 degrees Fahrenheit, using a small amount of extra virgin olive oil. This helps preserve flavor, reduce harmful compounds, and ease the strain on your vascular system. This is especially important for individuals over the age of 60, those with excess weight, or anyone prone to high blood pressure. Critical mistake number 5, pre-peeled and improperly stored potatoes, a hidden risk of toxic exposure and kidney damage. A bowl of peeled potatoes left out on the kitchen counter is a familiar sight in many American homes, especially before holidays, family dinners, or during busy workdays. Many people, particularly women, try to get a head start by peeling potatoes in the morning so that cooking in the evening goes faster. Others bring home a bag of potatoes from the supermarket and leave it on a kitchen shelf. It all seems routine, logical, and harmless. But this common habit carries biological and chemical risks that most people never consider. According to a report published in the year 2023 by the University of Minnesota Department of Food Science and Nutrition, the surface of a potato begins to undergo active starch oxidation and bacterial growth just 2 hours after peeling if left in open air. This process speeds up significantly when the indoor temperature exceeds 10 degrees Celsius, which is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The potato begins to darken, not just in appearance, but in safety. On the surface, nitrates and microbes begin to accumulate, and thermal cooking may not fully eliminate them. For children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems, this can lead to foodborne illness or inflammation in the digestive tract. Even more dangerous is the improper storage of unpeeled potatoes. Many people leave them on a kitchen shelf, under the sink, or even on a windowsill where they are exposed to sunlight. Under these conditions, as confirmed by a study from Colorado State University's Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture, potatoes begin producing high levels of solanine and acrylamide, compounds considered potentially toxic. Solanine is a natural glycoalkaloid that can cause stomach irritation, vomiting, and headaches. Acrylamide, according to the American Institute for Cancer Research, may increase the risk of tumors in the stomach and kidneys if consumed regularly over time. A clinical case from Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas illustrates this clearly. Melissa Brown, a 47-year-old woman, was admitted with abdominal pain, nausea, and general weakness. It turned out she routinely peeled potatoes in the morning, left them soaking in water at room temperature until evening, and stored bags of potatoes near a radiator. After thorough testing, doctors found elevated nitrate levels and inflammation of her stomach lining. 2 days later, her 16-year-old daughter came in with similar symptoms. To avoid this risk, never peel potatoes ahead of time unless you plan to cook them within the next 30 minutes. If early preparation is absolutely necessary, place the peeled potatoes in a sealed glass container, cover them completely with cold filtered water, and store them in the refrigerator at a temperature not higher than 4 degrees Celsius, which is 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Never store unpeeled potatoes in warm or brightly lit areas. The ideal storage temperature for raw potatoes is between 4 and 8 degrees Celsius, which is 39 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit, in a dark place with good ventilation. Never use potatoes that are green, soft, or sprouting. These are clear signs of elevated toxin levels. Critical mistake number 6, frequent consumption of potato chips, a hidden inflammation that gradually damages the body from within. Many people see potato chips as an innocent snack, something light and crunchy to munch on while watching television, riding in the car, or enjoying a picnic. But behind that satisfying crunch lies a slow-moving process that can quietly undermine your health. This becomes especially dangerous when chips become a regular part of your diet, even just 2 or 3 times a week. According to the National Center for the Study of Eating Behavior in the United States, in the year 2024, more than 52% of Americans over the age of 40 reported eating chips at least once per week. Around 20% consumed them multiple times a week, assuming it was a harmless habit. However, current research reveals that even moderate but consistent chip consumption can trigger systemic inflammation in the body. In the year 2023, the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health published findings from a 5-year observational study involving 2,000 men and women between the ages of 45 and 70. Those who consumed potato chips at least twice per week had levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation, that were more than 41% higher than in the control group. Researchers also observed impaired immune function, increased fatigue, and elevated blood pressure in this population. Chips are not simply thin slices of potato. They are thinly cut potatoes fried in low-quality oils at high temperatures, then soaked in salt, stabilizers, flavor enhancers, and preservatives. When fried at temperatures above 160 degrees Celsius, which is 320 degrees Fahrenheit, the starch in the potatoes forms acrylamide, a compound known for its toxic and inflammatory potential. Add to that the presence of trans fats, which elevate levels of harmful cholesterol in the bloodstream. A case from clinical practice illustrates this danger. Jacob Davis, a 45-year-old engineer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, included potato chips or similar dry potato-based snacks in his daily diet. He did not smoke and maintained an active lifestyle, but began experiencing chronic fatigue, frequent headaches, and a weakened immune system. After being evaluated at UPMC Shadyside Hospital, tests revealed chronic inflammation, elevated toxicity markers, and a sharp decline in immune function. A dietitian linked his condition to regular intake of foods high in acrylamide and trans fats, especially potato chips. After completely removing these products from his diet and adjusting his nutrition, his test results returned to normal within 3 months. Completely eliminate potato chips and similar snacks from your daily meals. Even small amounts, consumed 2 or 3 times a week, can trigger chronic inflammation and weaken your body's natural defenses. If you are craving something crunchy, try baking potato wedges in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 356 degrees Fahrenheit, with a small amount of extra virgin olive oil and a sprinkle of sea salt. Or opt for vegetable chips made from beets, carrots, or pumpkin, prepared without oil. These options will not provoke inflammation and can help maintain healthy immune function. Critical mistake number 7, eating potatoes every day. A hidden breakdown of blood sugar control and metabolism. In American culture, potatoes are more than just food. They are a symbol of comfort and familiarity, tied to childhood memories and a sense of fullness. Whether in a casserole, mashed, in salad, fried, or in soup, Potatoes are seen as a go-to side dish that always fits. But this very familiarity hides one of the most underestimated metabolic risk factors, especially for people over the age of 45. According to a national nutrition survey conducted in the year 2024 by a research center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, more than 59% of American adults eat potato-based dishes at least 5 times a week. Around 23% consume them daily. Most of the time, these are not simply boiled potatoes. They are fried, baked with fat, or part of mixed potato products. Many people assume potatoes are vegetables and therefore healthy by default. But the body's biochemistry tells a different story. Potatoes have a high glycemic index. This means that after eating them, blood glucose levels spike rapidly, prompting a sharp release of insulin. When this happens repeatedly, the body's cells gradually become less sensitive to insulin, a condition known as insulin resistance. This is a key early stage in the development of metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. This issue was clearly demonstrated in a study conducted in the year 2023 by the Boston University School of Medicine. Over 4 years, researchers followed the eating habits of more than 3,000 women between the ages of 40 and 60. Those who consumed potatoes 6 to 7 times per week had a 33% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who ate potatoes only once or twice a week, or not at all. The negative effects were especially pronounced in women who led sedentary lifestyles and had excess body weight. One such case was recorded at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. The patient, Sarah Lewis, age 48, was a manager with a mostly sedentary routine. She did not drink sugary sodas or overeat pastries. But nearly every day, her meals included potatoes, potato soup or casserole for lunch, and stewed potatoes with chicken for dinner. Over time, she began to notice blood sugar spikes, dizziness after meals, and a foggy feeling in her head. After consulting with an endocrinologist, she was diagnosed with insulin resistance. The doctor directly linked her condition to the constant glycemic load caused by daily potato consumption. To avoid insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and rising blood sugar levels, limit your intake of potatoes to once or twice per week. Choose boiled or oven-baked potatoes, without oil or dairy products. Always pair potatoes with fiber-rich vegetables such as cabbage, zucchini, green beans, or leafy greens. Never eat potatoes alone. Be sure to combine them with protein sources such as legumes or tofu to slow down the absorption of carbohydrates. Most importantly, do not treat potatoes as an everyday food. They should be an occasional part of your diet, not the foundation. Critical mistake number 8. Boiled potatoes for dinner, a silent disruptor of sleep, hormones, and metabolism. Boiled potatoes have earned a reputation as a diet-friendly food. Many Americans trying to eat healthy in the evening avoid fried foods, sauces, and meat, but still include boiled potatoes in their dinners. They are often seen as light, neutral, and easy on digestion. In reality, this is one of the most common misconceptions, one that can gradually undermine metabolism, sleep quality, and hormonal balance over time. A study conducted in the year 2023 by the University of Georgia's College of Family and Consumer Sciences found that nearly 48% of Americans over the age of 40 regularly include potatoes in their evening meals. More than half of them believe it is a safe option for weight control and digestion. However, consuming starchy foods at night, especially without protein or fiber, triggers a chain reaction that can lead to hormonal imbalances. Boiled potatoes have a high glycemic index. Even without adding butter or salt, they cause a rapid increase in blood glucose levels. In response, the body releases a large amount of insulin to bring the sugar back down. The problem is that by evening, the metabolism naturally slows down. Insulin also suppresses melatonin, the hormone responsible for sleep. As a result, it becomes harder to fall asleep, and sleep becomes light and frequently interrupted. Worse yet, when sleep is poor and evening insulin levels are high, the body begins to store more fat, especially in the abdominal area. This leads to the buildup of visceral fat, which poses serious risks to the heart, liver, and pancreas. Research published in the year 2022 by the University of Pittsburgh's Department of Psychiatry confirmed that people who regularly consumed starchy foods, including potatoes, after 6 o'clock in the evening, experienced significantly reduced sleep quality across all measures: depth of sleep, time to fall asleep, and consistency of sleep cycles. In addition, they had higher levels of cortisol in the morning, indicating chronic stress in the body. One clinical case illustrates this well. Mariana Gray, a 55-year-old accountant from Chattanooga, Tennessee, ate boiled potatoes with herbs for dinner over the course of 2 years. She had cut out meat and bread, hoping to lose weight. Instead of losing weight, she began gaining fat around her abdomen, waking up tired and experiencing difficulty falling asleep and frequent nighttime awakenings. After an evaluation at Erlanger Health System, she was diagnosed with early insulin resistance and disrupted circadian rhythms. The endocrinologist directly linked these issues to her nighttime consumption of starchy foods. To avoid insulin resistance, hormonal imbalance, and fat accumulation, especially visceral fat, eliminate potatoes from your evening meals, particularly in boiled form. Dinner should be light, low on the glycemic index, and must include both protein and fiber. Good options include steamed vegetables, a green salad with fish or boiled eggs, baked zucchini with beans, or broccoli with low-fat cottage cheese. If you are craving something starchy, have it earlier in the day when your insulin sensitivity is naturally higher. This is the only way to support healthy metabolism, restful sleep, and prevent the accumulation of harmful abdominal fat. Critical mistake number 9. Potatoes with ketchup and mayonnaise, a silent overload on the liver and a lipid surge. At first glance, what could be more delicious? Hot potatoes, a little ketchup, and a spoonful of mayonnaise. This is how millions of Americans enjoy potatoes, whether at restaurants, at home, on picnics, in sandwiches, or even in salads. The combination seems familiar, like a small indulgence. But this small indulgence can come at a serious cost, especially for your liver and fat metabolism. According to data from the National Association of Gastroenterology in the United States for the year 2024, more than 64% of adults regularly eat potatoes with store-bought sauces. For 1/3 of them, this has been a long-standing habit lasting more than 5 years. What many people do not realize is that a single serving of French fries with both ketchup and mayonnaise can contain up to 80 grams of fat, 8 grams of sugar, and a variety of additives that can harm liver cells. A study conducted in the year 2023 by the University of Texas at Austin, Department of Nutritional Sciences, showed that when potatoes are regularly consumed with commercial sauces, especially ketchup and mayonnaise, blood triglyceride levels can rise by 32% within just 3 months. This is directly related to the added sugar, vinegar, monosodium glutamate, and trans fats commonly found in low-quality sauces. Potatoes on their own already carry a high glycemic load. When combined with ketchup, which contains both sugar and vinegar, the result is a rapid spike in blood glucose levels. The body responds with a surge of insulin, and the liver converts the excess glucose into fat, storing it within liver tissue. When this pattern repeats often, it can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a condition currently diagnosed in 1 out of every 4 Americans over the age of 50. A clinical case from Cleveland Clinic illustrates this issue clearly. Joanna Ellis, a 51-year-old woman, had been dealing with constant fatigue, a heavy sensation in the upper right part of her abdomen, and weight gain around her waist. She did not consume alcohol, did not take hormonal medications, and had no family history of liver conditions. However, after an ultrasound and blood work, doctors diagnosed her with early-stage fatty liver disease. During a nutrition consultation, it became clear that she regularly ate potatoes with either ketchup or mayonnaise, often in fast food meals. After removing these items from her diet and switching to baked vegetables with natural seasonings, her test results began to improve within just 8 weeks. You should completely eliminate commercial ketchup and mayonnaise from your diet, especially when combined with potatoes. If you want to add flavor, try using natural tomatoes stewed with basil and garlic without added sugar. Alternatively, make a homemade sauce using avocado, lemon juice, and olive oil. Avoid vinegar-based and store-bought sauces entirely. Instead, season potatoes with natural spices such as rosemary, paprika, or turmeric, and serve them with boiled beans, broccoli, or a fresh green salad. This approach will reduce the glycemic load, lower excess fat intake, and help support healthy liver function. Critical mistake number 10. Potato dishes left out overnight, a hidden trap full of dangerous bacteria. It is common for American families to cook in large batches. It seems convenient. Make a big pot of stewed potatoes or casserole, and you have food for the next 2 or 3 days. This happens especially often after holidays or Sunday dinners, when dishes are left sitting on the stove or table until morning. It may not seem like a big deal, but this small routine habit often leads to serious foodborne illness, particularly in older adults and children. According to a report published in the year 2024 by the University of Illinois Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition, nearly 44% of Americans over the age of 50 admit to leaving hot meals out of the refrigerator overnight at least once a month without thinking it is a problem. Most of the time, these meals involve potatoes, whether mashed, roasted, or stewed with vegetables. Because of their texture, starchy content, and high moisture, potato dishes create the perfect environment for one of the most dangerous bacteria to grow, Clostridium perfringens. This bacteria is commonly found in the air and on kitchen surfaces, and it becomes active once food begins to cool and is no longer above 5 degrees Celsius, which is 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Between 15 and 55 degrees Celsius, which is 59 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit, the bacteria multiply rapidly. Within just 6 to 8 hours, a potato dish can contain enough toxins to cause severe symptoms, even if the food is reheated. These symptoms can include intense diarrhea, abdominal cramps, vomiting, and dehydration. Older adults and young children are particularly vulnerable and may experience more severe reactions. One case that illustrates this occurred at Providence St. Vincent Medical Center in Portland, Oregon. Carolyn Morris, a 63-year-old grandmother of 3, prepared a potato casserole for dinner. She left the leftovers in the baking dish on the kitchen counter overnight. The next morning, she reheated the dish and served it to her grandchildren. Within hours, one child began vomiting, another had diarrhea, and Carolyn herself experienced severe stomach cramps and chills. At the hospital, they were all diagnosed with acute food poisoning caused by Clostridium perfringens. Doctors explained that the issue was not with the potato itself, but with the storage conditions. A warm night, a sealed container, and no refrigeration created the ideal setting for bacterial growth. Never leave potato dishes sitting at room temperature overnight. Even if you plan to reheat them in the morning, dangerous toxins may survive the heating process. After cooking, potato-based meals should either be eaten within 2 hours or immediately cooled and stored in a refrigerator set at or below 4 degrees Celsius, which is 39 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have made a large batch, divide it into smaller containers so it cools faster. When reheating, make sure the internal temperature reaches at least 75 degrees Celsius, which is 147 degrees Fahrenheit. These simple precautions can protect you and your loved ones from the serious effects of foodborne illness. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.